Hey, last week in our marriage and family moment, we talked about the importance of humility in relationships and how pride can be so destructive. Well, this week we want to look at forgiveness. It's quite important, isn't it, to relationships? In fact, Jesus says, if we're not willing to forgive others, neither will he forgive us. And Paul says in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32, to be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ has forgiven you. All right, so we got to do it. It's important. It's huge. It is epic. Okay, here's a little acronym for what forgiveness is. It is epic. E, it's going to stand for essential. Just told you the verses why it's essential. We've got to have it. In order for there to be healthy relationships, there must be forgiveness. And there must be forgiveness if there is true love in relationships. And if forgiveness is needed, we need to have a pardoning. In other words, it's not just saying, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. I'm sad it happened. But there needs to be an exchange because there's a brokenness now. So it's acknowledging that there's a brokenness on both ends. And so both parties now need to mend the relationship. So it's one person asking for the other person's forgiveness. And then the other person now has the choice to bring the relationship back to health. And not only does it release the other person, it releases yourself on both ends. See how important that is? And we have to do it all the time, right? Like probably more than we do now, but it's incessant that we ask for forgiveness and give forgiveness back. Until this side of heaven, we're such sinners, we're going to be needing to ask for forgiveness and give forgiveness back all the time. And when we do, isn't it awesome that it's complete? Boy, when I ask for forgiveness or I receive forgiveness back, or if I give it back, what a feeling, freedom I get, right? And it's complete, it's over, it's done. And that means that I'm not going to bring it back up as a weapon against my wife or against my kids or other relationships. I'm not going to gossip about it. Well, yeah, so-and-so did that to me and can't believe, but I forgave him, it's no big deal. That is not right. It's not good. It's not love. So we don't do that. Well, let me show you what forgiveness is not. Okay, I'm going to put another chart up here. Forgiveness is not fair. What do I mean by that? Forgiveness is not fair. When I counsel couples, I often tell them, I said, treat each other unfairly. In other words, the way that Christ treats us. He treats us with grace and forgiveness and mercy. And so I can be patient with my wife and loving towards my wife. I can not take into account the wrong suffered against my wife because that's what Christ has done for me a million times more. So I'm going to treat unfairly. So forgiveness is not fair. It's not forgetting. Forgiveness is not forgetting. What do I mean by that? Well, forgetting would be the mental capacity to never remember. But actually, to forgive would be to choose not to remember. That's what God does for us, and that's what we want to do with others. And as I mentioned before, it's so important that we recognize that asking for forgiveness is a lot more than just saying, I'm sorry. It's asking for restoration of the relationship. And it's not easy. Okay, I put instinctive. Okay, it's not instinctive for us to want to go up, oh, will you forgive me for what I did? It's hard. And because we're created in God's image, yet sinners, it's going to be difficult for us to choose this Christ-likeness. But we got to do it for there to be reconciliation. Now, forgiveness is not reconciliation because that's maybe the next step that happens. Once we get the connection happen, now reconciling together to work out all the differences, whatever. Sometimes it takes some time to build back the trust, to build that which was broken. But forgiveness is the first place to start to reconciliation. So there you go. I hope that helps you as you remember that forgiveness is epic, okay? And it's not fair, but it's right and it's good. And Christ is honored in this. And you'll be blessed for sure. Be brave and be kind and compassionate towards one another, forgiving one another even as God in Christ has forgiven you. Thanks. See you next time.